I think a great question that stems from this then is, what do you think the biggest contributing factor to your happiness is?
I don't know. Happiness is an interesting one. I've played around with it a bunch, and I heard Iman Gaji say something he shared something on happiness that I really resonated with, and he said he doesn't believe in happiness. He thinks what is actually in place of happiness is a trifecta of peace, joy, and fulfillment. And what he says, it's quite interesting. He says that you can only achieve one or two of them at the same time.
Peace, joy, fulfillment.
Peace, joy, and fulfillment. So if you want 100% peace, you can't be running a company. And if running a company and financial success is what fulfills you, then you have to be running a company. But then you can't be 100% in peace.
Yeah.
And then joy comes in there as well. Joy is I think what a lot of people confuse happiness with. It's those kind of shorter enjoyments with, kind of a smaller experience with a loved one or a friend I
actually love that, because as I was thinking about it, like I was thinking that my happiness is tied to progression. And when I'm progressing in my life, I find to be more happy. But what it actually is the joy comes from the progression, I think. When you're progressing in your life, it's because the joy in the little things. It's very hard to have joy in things when you're stuck in a rut and in the same place. When you're progressing in your business or career, when you're progressing in your relationships, in your fitness, you find joy in the little things a lot more.
Yeah,
because it becomes mundane and less enjoyable when you're not progressing. So maybe like
it's like if you're with your girlfriend and you're having a nice dinner at home, you have a glass of wine, you have a home cooked meal, and sounds great. But if you've got a presentation tomorrow that you've procrastinated on all day,
you're not going to be present.
Oh, it's going to be a pretty bad experience. I couldn't enjoy that. I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't be peaceful. And so it's like, and that's because you didn't fulfill that fulfillment piece earlier in the day, which is ticking off the to-do list boxes in your business. And so I think it's a trifecta between joy, peace, and fulfillment, and you can vary all between the three. It's always changing. It's moving.
Right.
It also changes through phases of life as well. Like when having a family is a different phase to running a business. Retirement is a different phase to starting up in business.
So that's really interesting, because you can be happy on a macro scale in terms if I'm progressing right and I feel I can enjoy the little things. But if you've got something that's stripping away your presence by like something that's hanging on the back of your mind, like I need to do this, you may still be progressing, but you're struggling to be happy because you can't enjoy the present moment because all you're thinking about is something else. So maybe it's like happy. Obviously, if happiness is split up into those three things, for you to be able to have the joy in the moment at dinner with your partner, with a wine and a nice home cooked meal, you need to have ticked some boxes off the to-do list to feel like you've progressed for the day already, maybe.
Yeah, and I also think that if you have this massive expectation for happiness, life is hard. Yeah. Like the reality is not going to meet your expectation. And if that's the case, you're then going to be sad because you're not happy. And I mean, one interesting example of when I learnt this was like this paradox concept it was in 2021 when we were living together in Vaucluse, that there was a bit there where I had started working full-time for Lightspeed, but I was still working at the pub on weekends, and I was working 7 days a week. And what was interesting it was only a few weeks that I did that for, but what was interesting is once you committed to yourself, I work every day. Like I'm going to a job every single day. You stopped counting down the days and waiting for it to be Friday and waiting for the weekend, because there was no weekend. Like your expectation was you go to work every day And so when the reality was that you don't get a weekend, you weren't disappointed because that was never your expectation. And so I think with happiness as well, I think people just like, especially people who are on the grind, like you and I, we're both single. We both only have ourselves to look after right now. We're on the absolute grind, and I don't think the goal should be to be happy.
But also, the happiness only stems from the bad times because you need the polarity to even make happy something.
It's true.
Because without the bad, the good is just normal.
And maybe looping back to what we were saying before, how we were saying the goal is to be full and then anyone else is a bonus. I'm like, I'm never going to be happy, and then happiness is a bonus.
Yeah. Well,
like,
eliminating all of the expectations so all of reality is a bonus. Think about it like that.
It makes you feel better.
Dude, when you remove all of the expectation, life becomes so much better.
However, I think an important distinguishment to make is expectation and standards are separate.
Yeah.
So you remove all the expectation but maintain
Keep
all the
elite
standards.
standards.
Because people might get confused with those two.
Because the expectation is what you're expecting the outcome. But if you can control the output standard, so your output standard, but remove the expectation from the outcome, that's where the happiness could lie.
Because what it means is there's no distance between expectation and reality. If your expectation's here, if reality is here, that's great. But if reality is here, then there's too much distance, which is sad. But if your expectation is fluid and can land wherever the reality lands, then there's never going to be any delta. Yeah.
And the distance between the reality and the expectation is the letdown.
Is the letdown.
The disappointment.
Is the disappointment, yeah.
And I've learned that time and time again. And I've gotten to a point now where I can't have any. I was on a client call this morning and expectations through the roof. She's probably watching this if we drop this. Expectations through the roof. And then I'm basically just being like, yeah, look, I don't care about the numbers that you're telling me right now because nothing's happened. And I think we should just focus on everything we need to do before that launch. And then you put yourself the best foot forward, but you haven't expected anything in terms of the outcome. And she shut me down and was like, no, like you're ruining this, rada. But it's just like, I've been burnt too many times by my expectations. I've been burnt by me, my thoughts within me when I'm launching a business. And then I get shat on and I feel the worst I possibly could. Because A, I've put in all this time. B, I've put in all this time with the expectation to get a certain result out of it. And then when I don't hit it, I'm extremely disappointed. Because I literally can't, I didn't get what I wanted. Whereas now when I'm going into any business, I literally just go, yeah, cool, I'm gonna do everything. This is the thought, this is what I'm gonna have. I'm just gonna get it out there. I'm not gonna expect anything because I just keep getting shat on.
Yeah. Let me read this quote. You'll know this. It's from Rocky, right? Yeah. It ain't about how hard you're hit. It's about how you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward, get back up.
Yeah.
It's like you're going to get knocked down. And so no one cares if you get knocked down. What happens is if you stay down or you get back up.
Yeah. Well, they don't judge you on getting knocked down. They judge you on how you get back up.
Exactly. And the faster you get back up, the faster you can keep moving forwards.